It's Souq Business Landscape. Again, I'm Ike Namba. To help shed some light on today's business headlines, of course, as usual, my guest, Dr. Idahosa Osamaze. Welcome to the show.
Ikena, good morning.
Doc, I suspect you're a bit unexcited. Doesn't the fact that we're all dressed in a shade of blue make you feel happier, at least?
I'm not comfortable with chicks around me.
All right. Also, I've got Chooks John Rogers. He's with us on the show today. Hello, Chooks.
Good morning, Ikena.
You
have an aggressive. I feel an aggressive vibe from you.
It's very hyper. It didn't allow me to sleep.
Aggressive vibe. No, we are all just. It's more like we are toasting to the blues. So
right.
Yes, it's a good fashion, good color to start.
We will get to that before the end of today. Yes. So starting from Nigeria, Business Day, Disco's sale, ₦1 trillion debt to test investors' appetite. Why are we still going on and on about this whole disco thing? A lot of people don't have power. A lot of people are struggling with what band they're on, from band to band, bandwidth to bandit. Doc.
Well, I think, like they say, the elder says that if they send you on an errand and you didn't do it well, you go 2 times. So I think that's the story around the discourse in Nigeria. The argument for privatization remained very valid, but how that privatization process was accomplished remain still to be desired, and I think that's where the issues are. I remember that in the heydays of PDP in this country, of course, they believed that state should be lean and then sell off all properties. But incidentally, these properties were not sold to people with capacity, and I think that's where the real issues had been. You give people opportunity to come into an arena who had no money and they have no expertise, they have no experience, and then you give them electricity to run. 5 years down the line, we see the results. And incidentally, according to people who are insider, that the agreement that was even reached, clauses were in those agreements that they will not be government couldn't change mind until after a certain period of year, about 5 years or thereabout. And that's what we've suffered over the time. I think government want to privatize anything. There's nothing bad in privatization, but what it is that you must give it to the right person. Some of the discos even took money from government to be able to buy this thing, including huge and humongous facilities of PHCN, as it was then called, NEMPA, that was inherited by these buyers. And all we got for it was more darkness.
More blackouts. All right, next. Naira weakens to 1 month low as liquidity drops. Chooks.
Present.
What's going on?
There's nothing going on.
The Naira to the dollar has seemingly been winning the fight. Okay. Although I don't think it's quite some winning, because if you have gone up almost 100%, 200%, we got as much as 1,800 thereabout, and it's fallen down to about 1,001 now. Some people are celebrating, others are like, listen, it's still not where we want or need it to be.
Yes, there is a part for government to play, and there's also a part for me and you to play. So when we keep shouting government will do its bit. Then when government is doing its bit, we also should do our bit. It's not government responsibility to get productive. It's not government responsibility to start getting people to work. So when Nigerians start working, when Nigerians start getting productive and start holding the government responsible, okay, give me light, I need to produce this. Okay, give me a waiver, I need to export this. I need to import this to be able to produce that. When we get productive, the dollar will fall.
Don't you think that government should play their role first?
No,
before they can now say to the people, everybody's using this.
Everybody must play their role.
Definitely.
I think the issue with Nigerians really is the fact that sometimes we don't even understand the entire gamut of the whole story, and then we start to respond and react. What floating of currency means is that the market determines its price. So that shows to you from day one that nobody is expecting always a downward slide or a stability. That's why I say it's floating. Floating in the sense that the level of the liquidity in the system will determine what market will buy. Now, what you've seen is the fact that, yes, government then give BDC some money because government has no liquidity at that point. Because like you say, it's what you sell, you get, really. So we have not sold so much. So what you have here is the fact that as people are making demand and the supply of the currency is low, of course you're going to expect that the exchange rate has to go up a little bit. So these are basic economic framework of looking at the things around us. So you take the naira and dollar side by side. There's no war we are fighting. And I think what is fundamental, I'm not even thinking that rate of exchange is a problem. As I've always argued, the rate of exchange, even if dollar is selling for 25,000 naira to $1, it does not create a trouble as long as you have the 25,000 naira to buy what $1 will buy.
Which is almost
so
not
As long as you have the
25,000 naira to buy what $1 will buy.
But many
that
times
would
that
be a whole lot of
25,000 is
devaluation
not
for
there.
our own currency.
Yeah, but you see, there's also an argument for devaluation. And this allows your product, if you're producing, to actually enter into the international market. So,
But for that devaluation, that is majorly if it's well planned, as in
yeah, but what we're
you
talking
plan
about,
it.
why we're talking about it is because, number one, we are not productive. That's why a lot of the views around,
Can you please say it again?
we are not productive.
Good.
That's,
So let us know.
yeah, it's because we're not productive. That's why we're all fusing about what the value of the exchange is. Now, if there's high level of productivity, how much your dollar change, because especially you are not doing business in dollar, you actually trade in naira. So which means the naira go around the hand of everybody, and we have enough of it to be able to buy or do transactions, because the currency is from its work current. It's something that is flowing through a channel. So that productive channel is where the currency needs to pass through. But the problem we are having is that a lot of people are not productive. And because we're not productive, we have no disposable income. So which means if there's a shock in the dollar market, then there's a problem. Imagine, for example, that people are buying only dollar to go to school. You see a lot will change. And May is already here, by the way. And we are hopeful that at the end of May, diesel enter into the market from our Menga refinery, and then, of course, petrol is coming in. A whole lot
From
will.
Dangote's refinery.
Is our Menga refinery, at least we have the 20% stake in
Did you
it.
buy shares in it?
What a force. I hear a little red and blue banter, but we'll get there. So still on business day 2024, recapitalization, key considerations for meeting the new minimum target. Why are we still on this recapitalization issue? I thought it's something that we've gone past and we're implementing, and it's working.
We can't go past it. Now, this present administration said they are looking for $1 trillion economy. So we can't have that kind of economy if we have banks that are not big enough to sustain business. Now, apart from the recapitalization...
Could it be the banks are big enough, but they're not playing the role?
Now, we need to go beyond recapitalization, whereby we have policies that will mandate the banks to do the primary role they are set up for in the first place. Because right now, what the banks are doing is make mega interest, mega profits, declare profit after profit. Whereas the real industries they should be supporting are not declaring profit as much. They would not ask the question, where are we heading to? So for that recapitalization, yes, that is needed. So wherever those banks have been getting this money, they should come out and tell us and let them go get more. And support real business on ground.
I hope it works. I hope it works.
Yeah, there's no way it will not work. It's the will of those who regulate banks to see that the banks are strong enough. And I think one area really that, of course, emphasis need to really be placed is on the area of corporate governance. And we need to emphasize that to see that the banks are doing real commercial transaction, like Chuks has said, which is investment banking. And you're also having to see the bank supporting SMEs and supporting all manner of blue chip companies. And once these transactions are going on, you see, take for example, we're looking for Nigerians to invest in the gas sector. And we're looking for people to invest in the solid mineral sector. Now, these are very high capital intensive sectors. And will our bank be able to actually fund such enterprise? No.
Why
And
not?
that is,
Why not?
yeah, and that is why those sectors have not taken up, because they don't have enough amount to do so. And of course, for them to also secure to get money from outside, it's a big business because the environment itself not stable. So the better way to go is to see how we can mop up whatever is in the economy to strengthen the bank so that they can have the wherewithal to invest in those very high-stake sectors. There's nothing wrong if, for example, we have consortium of banks, for example, who had woken up and said, we want to take up this coastal road, the 700-kilometer road. That's an investment. Or they want to build a rail project from Lagos to Kano. That's an investment for banks. A consortium of banks can come together and fund such a project.
Correct.
So all the infrastructure deficit that we're talking about is because within the system, we don't have so much money. And apart from this SMS alert and the charges we collect on a daily basis, there's really no strategic banking operation really going on within the system. So this is a problem. And if we don't capitalize, we may be just waiting to see another 2008.
Do you agree that the banks are not capable?
Well, if we say the banks are not capable, then that means we are trying to limit them. Each of these financial houses in Nigeria, a lot of them are also, they have interest, apart from personal interest. They also have other sources of partnership outside this country, where on their own too, they can also go and source funds, apart from Nigerians within Nigeria. Now, the thing is this. We need to start seeing banks that are pro-Nigerian business, pro-investment, pro-SMEs. When we see that happening, Nigerians will have the confidence to, okay, I don't need to keep this money at home. I don't need to put this money somewhere. Have it. Because it's the money that the bank has that they can give to you.
You see, they connect here. If you go to Rwanda in their innovation city, they have academies, they have factories, and they have financial institutions. So you see young people who are talented, creating models, and they are coming to both factory and the bank to get resource to drive it. So you can imagine the young man, about 26 years old, who created Momo in Rwanda, 26 years, in that innovation city. He learned something here, then of course partner with both the industry and the bank, and they gave money for execution, and that is a global thing for, a national thing for Rwanda. And everybody has access to Momo account. So a young man, so you can imagine if we create such an environment where financial institutions are where academic research are taking place and industry experts are there, what kind of change that can happen in Nigeria? We're having people who are building models, but some of these models, even on the streets, and these are children out of school. If you really have banks that are there to empower them, you can be looking at the impact and the effect it will have on the economy at large, the African economy at large, really.
Banks do better, do better. So we're on to the Guardian still in Nigeria. CBN to sell $16 million worth to BDCs at 1,021 naira per dollar amidst fresh panic in the FX market. Fresh panics, and they're still doing this. What's the call for it?
For CBN, now, for a while, they have stood their ground and they have maintained what they say. That will give them kudos for. Now, this is another thing we should also start asking ourselves. If we get productive, CBN will not be the only source of dollars or FX. That's where the issue is. If a company is, let's say 10, 15 companies in a particular state are producing and exporting, they don't need CBN because they will be the one to service the banks because they are getting their own FX. So the same way for BDCs. BDCs should also be able to start sourcing dollars somewhere else, not just waiting on CBN. So CBN can say, don't go beyond this rate, don't go beyond this cost. But since everyone is looking at CBN, that's where the issue is.
It reminds me of what's happening in Norway and Sweden, where you hear and see that people as huge as US take loans from them and conglomerates because they are doing these businesses and self-sufficient. You know, I think it's something we have a long way.
Yeah, but I think it's important. As regulators, you have determined what the price of dollars should be, for example, and you say, no, we cannot get beyond some certain threshold. And these guys are saying, no, you know, we are selling as we buy.
Yes.
And they say, oh, we have some to sell, if that's the truth. So we'll sell to you at this rate which we have gotten. But, you know, there are a lot of funny things that happen within the system, and that is it here. You know, I was using a certain bank app yesterday, and if I want to sell, it's activated. But you can't buy. You can only sell. And I think CBN should look at that also. So if bank can buy from their customer, they should be able to sell to their customer and don't disable the ability to buy by customer. So you fix an exchange rate and say, okay, you're selling, they're buying at 1,000. So a lot of people are selling through them, but you can't buy through them. And that's unfair.
Something wrong with that.
Yeah. So this is the real issue, and this is where we need CBN to up its game in terms of regulation and then oversight to ensure that the banks are doing what is right. Because they are also part and parcel of this crisis that we are facing. That's why the Naira is artificially priced.
CBN, up your game. Still on The Guardian, businesses are crippled in Taraba due to blackouts. We talked about this. People are paying so much, still we're having blackouts. And you can't say it's because there are a lot of people on the grid, because there are much people on the grid. What's going on?
Yeah, I think the problem with the energy sector in Nigeria is something that sometimes you cannot really explain it. And I don't think just energy alone, I think it's almost in every sector where you are seeing key actors within the industry who are principally interested and really don't make things work because there's no enforcement of righteousness in our environment. And I think that's one area where Nigeria needs to really sit up. How do we, the Federal Agency of National Orientation needs to wake up and see how we can instill and inculcate values into human beings. Because how do you explain to somebody, for example, that you have good sunlight and you cannot invest in solar? You have a body of water that generates current, you don't have electricity. Gas is in abundant supply in your country, which everybody is using to do electricity you don't have. Even if we don't have uranium here in sufficient quantity, in Niger, our neighbor, they have.
Cool.
So, coal is in Enugu. So what exactly are we looking for to be able to generate enough electricity that we can sell even to neighbors?
Correct.
It's more like what happened in the telecoms. We need to completely unbundle that sector. The hold on that sector is too strong. The government have tried and done a bit of policy and given the Electricity Act. It should go further.
Hold seem
It should go further.
Hold seems subjective.
Those discos, in my opinion, cancel those contracts.
Yeah, I think that's what government's about doing now, right now.
Which you lose money if you cancel
Let
such
government
contracts.
lose the money.
Yeah, the government can buy them back now, really, because the truth of the matter is that all across the globe, people have what they call standard level agreements you sign with companies, SLAs, to say, if you're doing this contract, this is what conditions you must meet. And if you cannot meet those conditions, then of course you are blacklisted. In the UAE, if it's this UAE, the company will be paying the government for not delivering.
But the government is paying bailout for the same people that bought.
So that is the problem. So because government has a stake in it, this is a case like the Yoruba people say, you give somebody a goat or you hold on to the rope. In most of the discourse, government has about 40% stake in it.
So, Chooks, when you say cancel, here we know government loses money. What's the effect of that?
Let government lose the money.
Yeah, but
What's
it's not
the
even
effect?
disco alone. But
From
how
transmission-
about generation itself?
From generation to transmission, cancel every contract.
It's generation.
And open it up. If you can play and you have
Private?
the wherewithal to play,
Private?
come in and play. Yes.
That works. Sounds good.
If you can play and you have the wherewithal to play, come in and play. Government completely take your hands off it.
You know, there are too many agencies in this value chain.
That is
You
where,
have,
that is where the problem is.
National Electricity Regulation Commission, now, which, of course, is an umbrella. You have TCN, which is also operating at the second.
You have some names you don't even know.
So all these regulatory agencies, and then, of course, you come to the oversight from the lawmakers, a whole lot of controls here and there. We don't really allow business to move. And I think this is where people talk about the ease of doing business in Nigeria.
Do we need a national grid?
Yes, we do.
What do you need a national grid for?
You see, energy trading is even global now, and I don't think
I 100% agree with you.
I don't think it's energy is the national grid that is the problem.
If Niger State can generate 60% of what we are using in this country, let Niger State sell to other states. If Taraba can generate, Taraba sell to themselves.
No, I don't think it should be like that. You see, energy is strategic.
We've suffered this for over 40 years.
What the
Let's try
laws
something else.
is in other places is the fact that you generate, you get it into the national grid. You are paid for what you...
It has not worked for us.
Yes, the reason why it's not working is what we should address. You see, we cannot kill a program that is logical because some people have not made it work. So what we should be really concerned about, and this is where, of course, you have a Ministry of Power that's almost useless. If you have a minister who is in charge of power and be able to understand what are these really fundamentals, the people who are contributing, what are the lacunas in the laws that we need to amend so that people can play freely, so that if I sell power to the national grid, I get my money back. So the trading company, electricity trading company, should be at the heart of all this. And it should be a profit-making company. Just the way we have privatized NPCL. This should be a profit-making organization that is trading power, buying power from generators, and transmitting same to these schools, and then ensuring that those who are contributing to the grid get their money without too much of delay. So that solves the problem, really, for me.
I think it's a problem of a square peg in a round hole. It's a Nigerian thing.
Yeah, but because we're a federation, we still need government to regulate some of all these activities between states, so that when conflict arises, how do you resolve it?
When we're looking at conflict, it's more of buying and selling. let's break it down.
No.
Now,
It's
I can buy
much
from
more
A,
than it's much more than buying. If Nigeria, for example, said to Kaduna, for example,
Okay.
and there are legal issues, how do you deal with it?
now that is between Nigeria and Kaduna. They'll sort themselves out.
No.
Yes.
But that's why we're a federation.
Okay, hold on. Now, we've been a federation. That is beautiful. Now, when it comes to power, why can we not service ourselves? Because we have not taken it serious. Some other people are holding others down. If Anambra can generate, if Enugu can generate their own power with coal, let them generate their power with coal.
Yeah, but
If
the question
Mambila
really
can
is,
generate their power
the
from
question
hills,
is,
let them do it.
everybody is waiting for what the national is doing. Even this
Everybody
current
is
government had
waiting
given,
for money.
this current government has given liberty to all the states and even individual who can generate power to go ahead and generate power.
Really?
Oh yes.
Yes, yet we are making
There
budgets,
is
mega
executive
budgets
orders
every year.
that state now, local government, individuals can generate electricity. So how much are we generating? So the problem is fundamentally not about the national grid. There are fundamental problems.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Can we say do not put budget for power again in the national
After
budget?
having passed such a law?
Yeah, but you see, this is the point I'm making to you.
The power sector should be profit-making organization. So do not put government budget or money there anymore. They should service themselves with the profit they make. Things will work.
If you heard NERC the other day speaking, they said, why justifying the reason why the tariff was to be raised? You are spending over 240 billion to generate, transmit electricity. And what you are getting from DISCO in terms of purchase is 40 billion.
So why should I be the one to pay what DISCO can't transmit?
Now,
why should I be the one?
There's a huge subsidy in that environment. That's what I was saying earlier on. We should privatize a facility, but ensure that the person that you are giving that facility to is competent enough and has enough resource to actually deliver on the objective.
It goes on to what I was saying. So let's move on. We'll go to Asia now. Financial Times. Chinese speculators surcharge gold rally as Asia's grip on market tightens. What's going on in Asia?
They are standing up. There's nothing that is going on other than they are weak. They just know that, hey.
I was asking that because a lot seem to be sprouting from Asia that are doing fantastic. Even on Monday, we talked about some of the great partnerships going on between Oman, Bangladesh, India, some parts of India, and all that stuff. Shouldn't we?
In the last few weeks, everybody's backing up their currency with gold. If you observe, right from Africa down to some other places, and China for sure knows that. Okay, let's hold more. We don't know what they know.
Does it have to do with BRICS?
No, but it's BRICS. It's BRICS policy.
Let's hold more.
That is, say we don't need to over-depend on dollars because the only currency globally now that can be hedged is dollar. Really.
Correct.
Yeah, and so you're saying if our efficiency and performance, for example, is overly dependent on dollar, can't we do something differently? And I think this is what it is. And Asia is actually also pushing for their superiority in international politics. Don't forget that.
True.
That is actually the international war between the West and the East. That's where we are. And so, for you to be able to establish that superiority, you must have a currency that is also strong, that is hedgeable. And I think this is where you are seeing some of the things that is going on. All the major players there, or the major determinant around Asia, you have China there in BRICS, you have India in BRICS. So these people eventually will determine how the economy of Asia is solidified. If you remember the very famous interview that Tucker Carlson had with Putin the other day, he emphasized that the real problem is not Russia, the problem is in China, because China seems to be the economic powerhouse in the world as it is today, really bigger than America in the view of Putin. And that's why America is really not resting on its oar to see that the world is destabilized. So I think these are some of the issues that we must also look at.
Okay, let's take one last story from Europe. Lenders are in the dark over private equity risks. Bank of England warns. Bankers, in the dark. Why? Because when you take these loans, it's supposed to be something that you flip it and it births more. Why is Bank of England warning?
If they say the value system globally is what his problem is. A whole lot is happening under the table that people don't know. And then, of course, government is also struggling for legitimacies across the world. And so we don't really see the data the way they are. And so those who are planning on government data sometimes be making mistakes. Because what you are told may be different from what is actually happening. And then you are encouraged to do more in terms of lending, but then, of course, the people have no capacity to pay back because of government issues. So these are conflicts, really, that needs resolutions. And therefore, for me, people also have to be very careful, especially lenders, so that you don't sink the entire stakeholders in that industry.
Another question we need to ask the Bank of Industry, who exactly are they warning?
Bank of England.
Bank of England, who exactly are they warning?
They are warning their bankers.
Okay. So their bankers,
their banks.
Their banks should take heed.
Yes, they should take it, really. And I think it's important. It's just to see, be conscious of risk.
Correct. Be conscious of risk. We'll come to the end of the show today. Souq Business Landscape. Join us same time next time. Bye-bye for now.